Hi there, welcome to Zahir's Past Paper Show, where we review research papers from different years and see how they apply now to the real world. So, my first topic of this show that I want to talk about is something that is very close to me, which is gaming. So, as I was a young boy, I'd always game, from whether it was the PS1, the Game Boy, the GameCube, or any of those things. And I found out that as I grew older, I just keep wanting to game. I would game day and night. I would game whether after school, I would game after anything else. Let's say I had a club afterwards, I would game. I would game and game and game. And as time moved on and online gaming became a thing, I also started gaming more and more and more. And I made more friends and I got to experience new things because of gaming. And I'm very interested in the aspect of gaming in our lives. So what I really noticed when I was older, or when I was getting older, was that gaming became a little bit harder to do, especially when it came to new responsibilities like work or maybe university and other things, such as sometimes the timing isn't right, the placing isn't right, and I couldn't make those connections that I made before as easy. This will lead me to my first paper review, which is Psychosocial Causes and Consequences of Pathological Gaming. I will put the paper link down below so that you can also read through it and also hear my thoughts on it. So, what is this paper about? This paper basically tries to outline in 2010 what are the causes and what are the results of pathological gaming, or in this case, gaming addiction. One of the main points of this paper is that gaming addiction are usually indicators of four things: either loneliness, low self-esteem, the inability to operate in real life, and also low life satisfaction. So to find out whether those four main factors actually coincide or are correlated with gaming addiction, they took 1,024 students from the Netherlands, from different schools in the Netherlands, and made them take a survey depending on different questions of how their gaming life is and how they feel about their lives. Keep in note that these are adolescents. They're not adults like my age or much older. After they did the survey, they concluded two things. One of the most important things that I read when I read this paper and thoroughly analyzed it was that prior to this, people thought that gaming addiction was the cause of loneliness, of lower social competence, and lower life satisfaction. But when you look deeper into it, actually, it is the opposite. Most people who are lonely or are unable to operate within the social norms then lead themselves to gaming. And it really makes sense because nowadays, and even during the advent of online games, a lot of people tend to use escape to game and escape from their personal problems or any other types of problems. And I, for one, am also the same. So this paper actually hit it right on, and it was in 2010. So it does make sense that people do things that they want to do because they want to escape something. They probably do not enjoy their real lives and find more joy doing something else that doesn't reflect on their outside image. The second main point that they found out was that loneliness is both a cause and a consequence of gaming addiction. So, as I said prior, people tend to only coincide with one, but it's actually both. It is a repeated cycle. So, for example, if someone who's lonely doesn't know how to communicate in the real world, they find themselves online gaming and they find themselves in a community that supports them and tells them to have fun. They in turn do so, and then that creates, of course, sort of cycle where the only place where they feel comfortable in is in the online space. And that's something very, very, very true nowadays, especially when we are getting online and we're getting with the metaverse. And it shows and it correlates to how we are now becoming more digital than we think, and how people operate, and how humans might not want to be part of the real world anymore. Other things that the paper found out was that the amount of time that you play the video games doesn't really correlate to your psychological condition. What does relate to your psychological condition is what is your state of mind when you're playing the game or before you're playing the game. So for example, if you are in a depressed state or you've been in a down week, that probably can lead you to a path where you are more addicted to games because you are trying to escape something, you are trying to get away from it all. And that is what leads adolescents to be more prone to gaming addiction and wishing to stay away from all of that. Personally speaking, sometimes I would have those months or weeks or maybe even a year or two where I just felt like I wasn't very comfortable with myself or comfortable with my image. So I would go on to MMOs or online gamings and find my own self or what I believed was my true self online. And that led to a gaming addiction and whatnot. And the final thing that I want to talk about this paper is self-esteem. So speaking about your identity and whatnot, self-esteem actually varies no matter how much you play or how little you play according to this research. According to this research, all of it varies. So even if someone is escaping from the real life, it still is within them no matter what. So even if they do really well in games and whatnot, if they turn it off, I'm assuming that then they have a glimpse or a split second of realization of who they are and what their self worth is to them. So in turn, it is all of many different factors that apply to how you feel about yourself and that what leads you to do the things you do. And I think this paper, while quite outdated, I believe that gaming itself is right, and the psychological factors before it really matter. I feel like they could dive in more now since it's 2010. They can dive in more into how people use it as a compensation tool. How people, it's not an addiction as it is as more as it is an escape tool nowadays. And I really would like to hear your opinions on it and what your thoughts are on how how gaming addiction maybe helped you in your life or maybe helped ruin your life, or how you've used it to escape it as you get older or when you were younger. And I really appreciate any comments and concerns, and please read the link down below for the paper and just give me your thoughts. Thank you.